This section of the OLAP CANSIM tutorial deals with aggregations. But first, let's get the original view of the data by clicking on the Show Table As Is option. Aggregations can be tricky and not always meaningful. It all depends on the data and their organization. What makes sense for one table and for one type of data can be outright nonsense for another. In our example, let's click on Aggregation on Time option in the sidebar. This simply means that we will be aggregating monthly labor force survey data using the default aggregation method, SUM. Two things are worth noticing on the screen. First, that a highlighted warning appears above the data in the main section of the screen, warning against exactly what we have just said, that some aggregations make sense, others do not. Second, the sidebar displays now all aggregation options, sum, average, median, minimum, and maximum. Summing up monthly labor force data or, for example, industrial production data, aggregating monthly data into quarterly and then annual makes sense. But to give another example, summing up daily exchange rates into weekly or monthly may not be very meaningful. Likewise, calculating averages begs the question of what data are used in the process. If, for example, non-trading days have exchange rate value of 0, calculating weekly or monthly averages can be meaningless or outright incorrect, unless we can somehow exclude those non-trading days when calculating averages. Thus, each table needs to be scrutinized from the point of view of what analytics, when provided by the system, make sense, and what pitfalls need to be watched for, even for those analytics that do make sense. Back to our labor force survey table. What you see on the screen are annual values on the time axis. Remember that the original frequency of the table is monthly, which can be drilled down into quarterly and then monthly for each and every of the years covered by the survey. By clicking on the plus sign by 1976, and we drill down to quarters for that and just that 1 year. Click on the plus sign by the first quarter, and we drill down further down to monthly values for the selected quarter. You can easily see that the aggregation capabilities are determined by the original data frequency in any given CANSIM table. When we first clicked on the Aggregate on Time option in the sidebar, we effectively aggregated monthly data into quarterly and then annual. This also means that for the CANSIM tables whose original frequency is annual, aggregation capabilities are none. As mentioned earlier, triggering the Aggregation on Time option in the left-hand sidebar also displays all aggregation methods. We can now aggregate on time using those other methods, average, median, minimum, or maximum. It is up to the user to determine which of them make sense and which do not. In our case, we might be interested in, for example, average monthly values or in minimum or maximum monthly values for the selected time period. And that wraps up aggregations.